Ever wondered how the Indian Contract Act of 1872 shapes the commercial landscape of one of the world's largest economies? Well, buckle up as we dive into the intricacies of this pivotal legislation. The Indian Contract Act, 1872, a colonial-era law, remains a cornerstone in India's legal framework. It provides the basic framework of rights and obligations that every contract in India must follow. This act, passed on the 9th of April, 1872, came into effect on the 1st of September, 1872, and extends to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The act begins with a preamble that lays out its objectives and then proceeds to define key terms such as contract, agreement, party, and consideration. These definitions provide a foundation for understanding the rest of the Act. The Act is divided into 11 chapters, each covering a different aspect of contract law. The first chapter is an introduction, while the second chapter deals with the communication, acceptance, and revocation of proposals. The third chapter discusses the voidability and void contracts. The fourth chapter is about performance of contracts, and the fifth chapter talks about certain relations resembling those created by the contract. Chapters 6 through 11 cover more specialized topics. These include consequences of breach of contract, contracts contingent on an event happening, contracts contingent on an event not happening, certain void agreements, and consequences of rescinding a voidable contract. The final chapter 11 contains miscellaneous provisions, including the legal status of the Act's provisions in relation to other laws. Now that we've navigated through the Indian Contract Act of 1872, let's summarize the key points. The Act provides the basic structure of rights and obligations that every contract in India must follow. It introduces key terms and concepts such as contract, agreement, party, and consideration. The Act is divided into 11 chapters, each covering a different aspect of contract law, from communication and acceptance of proposals to the consequences of rescinding a voidable contract. This Act, despite being more than a century old, continues to govern contractual relationships in India, making it a vital piece of legislation for anyone seeking to do business in the country. So, the next time you find yourself in a contractual relationship in India, remember the Indian Contract Act of 1872. It's the compass that navigates the vast sea of Indian contract law. This has been a brief overview, but the Act is filled with complexities and intricacies that make it a fascinating subject to explore. Remember, every contract, every agreement, every business deal is a story. And in India, those stories are written with the ink of the Indian Contract Act, 1872.